Welcome to We're Talking Bears,
where we bring you the latest in the Chicago Bears experience.
I'm Uncle,
Nephew,
and I'm Son,
and we're talking Bears. So 3-8.
Feels like a curse.
It does. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I thought when I seen 3-8, I was like, oh man, we're gonna end up with the number one pick. There's teams worse than us actually out there. I didn't know that was possible, but there's teams worse than us. But we're definitely in line for getting a high draft pick. Sometimes, man, it's like a gift and a curse for sure, because on one hand, we can talk about the Bears winning and our hopes and expectations that they win. And then it's like, but if they don't win,
yeah,
we're actually trending up on the other side of things. Tough game. Losses are never easy for me. I'm not actually always looking to see us lose, even though I think most people are waiting for next year kind of mentality right now. I don't know, man. What do you think? What do you think about the game? Another L, 3-8, and rising in the draft ranks.
I mean, so I've taken this stance on the season, right? As long as Fields remains healthy, as long as Fields and a few pieces around him develop, and we don't squander our good offseason position, I don't care what happens for the rest of the year. I don't care about losses. I don't care about our record at the end of the day. Like, we could be, 3-14 at the end of the season. Cool. That just means we'll probably have a top 3 pick. Reason being, what I want Poles to do, what I would do, were I in his shoes, is if we land that high of a pick, the last time somebody moved into that top 5, I think I said this before, but that was the 49ers trading with the Dolphins. They got 3 first-round picks, some other later round picks, and that turned into Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Waddle for the Dolphins. So, I mean, like, if we're in the top 10, like, cool. You know what I mean? Like, cool. I would rather him trade back and secure our future and really, like, jumpstart this rebuild with that infusion of blue chip talent that you can get with that many first round picks. Because somebody will trade for us, because there's a lot of good quarterbacks at the top of this draft. So somebody will do it. Top 3 is where you want to be.
Right.
So, if we keep losing, so be it. I just don't like the way that we went out this past week. Like, this was a loss that hurt more because of how we lost than the fact we lost it all.
Okay. What do you? Okay. Let me ask you this. What do you mean on that? Because for me personally, was it Minnesota? What was the game when the boy got the ball taken out of his hands? That was, to me, that was tough. That was tough. It's like, I don't know if anything hurt me worse than that. But I get what you mean. Fourth quarter, we're always in the games. Fourth quarter losses when you could have come out with a win. I get it. But you said something about Justin Fields' health. And in this game, I think that was a little bit more of my concern. I felt like at some point, Justin was tired. He looked like his legs were heavy. He wasn't the same guy that we saw that was able to run away from people. He seemed like he was kind of just taking what he could get. I think one play in the fourth quarter, he kind of like ran into the back of the O-line guys and just kind of went down. And I'm thinking like, okay, he's tired, but we're still drawing up runs for him. And I'm just like, man, let's not get this guy killed out there. I'm kind of with you on that. If we're 3-14, I'm not really tripping, because we obviously need work. We need some things shored up for us. And it looks like it seems like that's our focus. The Bears management, it seems like that's their focus. And maybe hopefully we'll get to that this offseason. But Justin Fields, man, I don't know. For me personally, I like to see him run. I like to see him amaze us and all us. But late in that game, I started just feeling like, man, don't get this guy killed. Don't get him hurt. And let's not get him injured. You get what I'm saying? Because he's clearly the future of our team. And I don't know, it was looking a little iffy late there in the game, especially with us not having what it looked like any options outside of him.
Yeah, and leading up to the game and going into it, there was a lot of talk about his load. He talked about in his Wednesday press conference last week how his legs were heavy. He talked about that just not being 100%. Okay. So this is your franchise quarterback, right? this is the guy who, no matter what happens this season, this is the dude who you have to prioritize, because as he go, the franchise will go for the next decade, right? So when you see halfway through the game, Justin Fields is, like you said, running in the back of a guy instead of making a move in the, in the scrum and in the mix up. Like, you don't want to see your quarterback going down at the bottom of a big clump of freaking defenders, like defensive linemen, offensive line. You don't want him to be at the bottom of that pile. Right. So that's the first warning sign. The second warning sign I saw was when he was on the sideline, getting his hamstrings like massage gun. There was like a trainer, just like he was just laying face down, getting his hamstrings just absolutely fucking jackhammered by a massage gun. And this dude is like, he looks like a construction worker. He's just like holding it with two hands, like okay, that's concerning to me. You know what I mean? Especially with his legs being the weapon that they are. Right. And the thing that sets him apart right now from, the average quarterback. And then on the third warning was late in the game. We were in the red zone. Play got blown up. There was nobody open. I looked at the wide receivers routes. Nobody was open. I mean, they were blanketed, right? He didn't throw just some junk up and see what somebody would do. He like scrambled around trying to make a play, and then he hit EQ, off to the side. I think that post is on our Instagram channel, right? But watching it back on the Instagram, when he comes out of like just a scrum of defenders, they tried to pincer him off on the left and close out on him from over there, and he just ran back towards the middle. There's nobody in front of the touchdown, like in front of the end zone. He's got like 12 yards, 15 yards tops, and he has a touchdown if he just goes upfield. But he kept running laterally for like another 3 or 4 seconds, and then threw a pass to EQ, who was like 7 yards deep, maybe, who had to truck some dude to get a first down. Right. And I'm like, that's strike 3, okay, in terms of Fields running. Man, if it wasn't like, like a winnable game at that point, I'd have pulled him right there and sat him and put in Trevor Siemian, because if Justin Fields sees a lane to the end zone that's 15 yards away with nobody there but maybe a safety, and doesn't go for it, that means that something's wrong. Yeah. Something's wrong. Especially when we just seen him put that boy from Detroit in the hospital the other day. Right, dude. Sent that dude to IR. So, like, if that's what you're seeing from Justin Fields, how then on the last drive of the game do you then, as Getsy, sit up as a play caller and call 2 quarterback runs? I don't know, and that's disconcerting for me, because even he's the weapon, right? And I mean, that's what we've been doing, running the ball with him. But late in the game at that time, we need to get down the field. That's not what I would have called. And then 2, I can't ever recall a quarterback running the ball. What was it, 18 times? 18 runs. We got Demo. I like Demo. Now, granted, we missed Herbert. I like Demo. He didn't get 18 carries. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Yes, Justin Fields can run the ball, but what are we trying to do to him? Because that, to me, that's too much. That's way too much. And then not only just the fact that you get what I'm saying, we don't want to see him get hurt. You're literally going to be tired. You're not going to be as accurate as a thrower with no legs. Like, that's just how it is. It's like you're not a great jump shooter with no legs. It's not going to happen. So I don't understand what the logic was in that either. I'm not sure. Play calling was definitely questionable, to say the least, on that last drive at the very least. There's one more point of contention that I had with the game, and I'm sure that you agree. And it's ridiculous that we have to mention this 3 weeks in a row. And this is not the only 3 weeks that we've dealt with this through the season as well. And it's the officiating. Right. Jaquan Brisker called it out. Several pundits around and media analysts and whatnot have mentioned it in the few days since the game, or in the days since the game. And I don't understand. Justin Fields slides to the ground. Grady Jarrett, the defensive tackle, dives into him helmet first, makes helmet to helmet contact onto a sliding quarterback, and then no flag is thrown. Right. That wasn't the only time, just that game, that there were questionable calls that either occurred at critical times on behalf of the Falcons or occurred when the Bears were looking to get more and more momentum, like that would have put that game out of reach, that should have been called and weren't. Or then the phantom holding call on Michael Schofield, who turned, had his chest in Grady Jarrett, but when Grady Jarrett got past him, like he didn't grab anything. His hand was in his chest, and then he wasn't touching him anymore. And Jarrett got a hit on Fields, and then somehow that was a holding call. So, like that put the game kind of back into reach for the Falcons, and we've seen that over and over and over again. The suplexing Chase Claypool, and no call right in front, like literally 10 feet in front of a ref. Like if you watch the replay back, there's a ref, right there. Like, just like, how do you not see that? So the officiating, specifically in Bears games, has been like amateur at best. Amateur.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking that it's like week to week, what are the chances that you get a bad officiating crew week to week, whether we're home, whether we're away? To me, sometimes it seems like, like we want to go out there and compete. We just don't want to win. And we just want some of those calls, if they're close calls, game-changing calls, so give them to the other team. You know what I'm saying? We'll rather lose the close ones. And I mean, I hate to say that because I don't think we're not playing like a team that's tanking. We're in every game. You know what I mean? But we're pretty much losing like a tanking team would want to. And I don't know. I can't really say I'm upset, or I can't even say what I really feel about that. But that's how the officiating looks to me. It's like some calls I understand when you're a star player and it's like, oh, this superstar quarterback, he gets these roughing the passers for the slightest tap after I understand that. But when you're thinking like, oh, you don't even call holding on the other team, you don't call pass interference, like these are obvious things we're watching take place, and there's just no calls. No calls by officiating when the other team does it, and every whistle comes out on us, and it's utterly ridiculous.
To see the juxtaposition, though, just like you said, like Marcus Mariota and Jared Goff, the last two quarterbacks we faced, are by no means star quarterbacks.
Right.
Mariota is a running quarterback just like Fields. Jared Goff is a pocket passer who, when he ran out to the sideline, Kyler Gordon reached around him, punched the ball from behind him while he was still in bounds.
I was so mad at that.
And they called unnecessary roughness on a player in bounds who tried to knock a ball free,
get a fumble, right,
with a legitimate football move, right? It's just a peanut punch from behind. Players do that every single play. Jaquan Brisker did it today and knocked the ball yesterday and knocked the ball free. So that's a penalty. But every time Justin Fields is running out of bounds, there's a shove that sends him either scrambling into the bleachers or down onto the ground and rolling into the feet of the players of the other team. Every single play that he runs to the sideline, they hit him going out of bounds. No flags. No flags. When Justin slides, man, last year when Justin was sliding, they didn't even start to throw penalties until the end of the year. End of the year, when Justin literally was on the podium like, oh, maybe when I'm a fourth or fifth year quarterback, they'll give me that call. Like, no, what it is they don't protect black quarterbacks the same way they protect white ones.
It's getting hot.
That's getting hot. It's been that way in the NFL since I've ever started watching the NFL. Donovan McNabb didn't get the same protections. Dante Culpepper doesn't get the same protections. That was a whole different era of football. They didn't have the same rules, ever since they got the hit below the knee rule, because of what happened to Tom Brady. I think Dante Culpepper had a triple crown in his knee. You know what I mean? Like they took his whole leg out, dang near snapped in half. So, when stuff happens to white quarterbacks, they change the rules, they change the way they enforce them, and they're consistent about it. Trevor Lawrence gets those calls. You know what I mean? Like if you hit Trevor Lawrence going out of bounds, that's a flag. So he shouldn't have to wait to get that same protection. Trevor Lawrence is pretty athletic too. So I just think it's a double standard that's being enforced at the referee level, and is being taught wrong, wherever they're training.
Right.
And it's really an embarrassment. And we could go back and look and go pull some historical data on flags and go look, but man, some weird stuff started happening when I started looking through a couple weeks ago, just to find the flag on the Steelers with the taunting. When I was looking through the NFL replays, with the NFL Plus subscription, the replays of that game and almost all the replays on YouTube have been edited so that the part where the referee like steps into Cassius Marsh's path and like sticks his butt out at him and actually like pretends that Marsh ran into him, that's been edited out of all the replays. Like they show him go start to taunt, they show him turn around to run back to the Bear sideline after saying nothing, and then they show the result of the penalty and the next play. They just cut it. So I'm curious as to how much of that goes on behind the scenes, because I don't really see a reason that they would do that in the full game replay.
Right.
Just cut that one portion out. Like, really? So man, there's something shady going on with these refs. I'm not sure if it's just bias. I'm not sure if it's just poor officiating, and just bad crews that are on these jobs. But man, it's something.
It's hard to think you're only getting it wrong on one side of the ball every time.
Every 3-4 games in a row, and like 6 games this year, there's been just absolutely atrocious calls. Like, look, man, I don't like complaining about refs, because you can always do something better to not be in a situation where a ref's call makes the difference.
Right.
But when the refs are exerting their will on the game more than the players, that's something that I tend to notice, and it's been showing up a lot. And it's been showing up with Justin Fields a lot. So I really
an unfortunate segue. This wouldn't be the first time in professional sports that referees have been known to sabotage or just, quite frankly, cheat. There's been some NBA referees who've actually written books about it, and and of course that taints the game. It doesn't take anything away from the talent of the guys, of course, but it does taint the game and our love for it and what we watch it for. I'm with you. I'm hoping that we can just chalk it up to maybe this is just bad officiating. The theory in my mind is that this is what the Bears organization wants, because we want to compete, but we also want to lose. I'm just hoping that it's something like that, and that eventually they'll be able to get these calls together. But in the meantime, I don't want to see Justin Fields get hurt from the same plays that you protect these other quarterbacks with. Protect our quarterback. You know what I'm saying? We got a young quarterback that it has a lot of promise in him, and we all expect him to do great things here in Chicago. Protect him like any other professional athlete. We don't want to see any of these guys get hurt, and I would hope that that's the same intention for these referees. You know what I'm saying? They can be consistent. Now, I don't have a problem with mistakes. You get what I'm saying? Or even ticky-tack fouls. We've played sports when we were young kids, and it happens. You know what I'm saying? If you play a team and they have their own referees, they might be a little bit biased and they might get some better calls. And like you said, the concept is to play to where those calls don't matter. So when the calls are kind of like just generic to the game, it's like, oh, you called a bad pass interference. You made a bad call. Okay, fine. But when it comes to the health and safety of the players, I feel like there's no excuse, and you need to make sure that you're being consistent, because all of these guys deserve to go home to their families the same way and be able to show up every Sunday to play and to earn their money. And so that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping, like you said, it's just bad officiating, but sometimes it's hard to turn a blind eye to the inconsistency. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You said it right there. It's the consistency between it, because when Kyler Gordon got pushed and fell down into Mariota's legs, right?
Right. Yeah.
Tapped his ankle with his arm. Like, even the announcers, while the play was happening, they're like, oh, there wasn't forceful contact. That's not the spirit of the rule. That's not the intent of the rule. Right. Like, if you fall down and your arm touches the quarterback's ankle and then he also falls, that's not a foul, right? But when that happens, and then a few plays later, the 300-pound defensive tackle headbutts a sliding quarterback and you don't flag that, that's when I start getting upset. That's when I start noticing and noticing that that's not, it's the consistency of the rules being applied. Like, if you're a ref that's like, let them play, and you're not calling holding downfield on the corners because you just want, like, if you're a receiver, you just got to beat them. You know what I mean? That's your policy. Cool. If you're going to call it like that, call the whole game like that. But don't call that for one team and then not call it for the other. That's not the way it's supposed to go.
Right. I had a question for you for late in this game. We talked about the Justin Fields running and not wanting to see him get hurt. What in the world do you think was going through Getsy's mind in that last drive?
See, I got a theory. You ain't gonna like it. Because
hit me with it.
What I see from Getsy in almost every other situation, other than late game, potentially game-winning drives, is creativity, is good play calling, is intent. He gets deep in his bag for end of second quarter drives. He gets deep in his bag for the opening drive of the game, where you see layers upon layers of concepts like tendency breakers. You see baits for the defense. You see audibles that take advantage of poor situational football from the defense. And then in late game, there's nothing. Like, there's no deep passes.
Right.
When the defense is keying on the run to the outside late game. Like, first of all, there's no 4 or 5 man wide receiver sets to spread the defense out late game, so immediately, if you're running 4 or 5 man, what that does is, if you're running a zero blitz, there's no one to protect the flats. You can't protect the flats. So you just throw a flat pass, and that's a first down, and then out of bounds, and then you're on to the next play, right? There's no creativity. It's very terrible 2-minute football and 4-minute football when I'm seeing these late game drives. So man, like, this feels like one of them suck for luck, tank for Tua play calls, because it's not that he can't do it. It's not that he doesn't have that capacity, because we see that exemplified throughout the rest of his game plan. It's just in these late game situations, he doesn't put our guys in good positions.
I agree.
He just isn't doing it. I would say, with the exception of maybe Miami, where we took a couple of shots and it didn't really work for various reasons. Like, it really hasn't been good play calling. So what's going through his head? Maybe that 3rd overall pick that we're now in.
That's the only thing I can think of, man, because like you said, we see it from him. We know he has it there. And I don't know. But I did want to point out a couple things. Fields, man, the pass, I like how he got Mooney down the field. It takes us a long time sometimes to get receivers open, or when they get open, Justin's running for his life, and then by the time he's able to throw again, we got to wait a little longer for him to get open again. But the play to Montgomery down the sideline, I think he was getting chased, and he coached him down the sideline, like, take off, and he threw that pass to him. Those are the passes that I like to see from Fields, that remind us that he's a great quarterback along with a great runner. You get what I'm saying? A great running quarterback. So that was good to see. The pass to Komet was beautiful. I don't like him being put in those spots late in the game where it's like, all right, now we know we got to score, and it's all on Justin Fields. You get what I'm saying? I don't like that. I like for us to, like you said, come out, give us some sets with 4 or 5 guys, spread the defense out, let him throw the ball. He's a quarterback. And if we lose, okay, like we were both saying, this isn't the season we've had much expectation. So if we lose, okay, but let him be the quarterback that he is. He's not a running back. We don't need 2 running backs out there, like running the ball 18 times a piece. So I think that I would have liked to see him take some shots. I would like to see Claypool get involved a little bit more. We got him. He's a big body. Let me see him have some passes where he can compete for the catch. Like, no fades in the end zone. We get in red zone. We're not using his big body to see if that's something him and Fields can get going. But I would assume that was part of the reason why we brought him over. So again, man, for me, it's like there's a lot of positivity to look at. I'm just hoping that Poles and these guys are, just focused on the right things. And I think the first and most important thing for me is keeping Justin safe. Running 18 times and knowing that the referees are not protecting him, we have to protect him. You get what I'm saying? I think that's the most important thing right now, especially when unfortunately, competing to win this year isn't something I think that's on the minds of our team or our front office. So let's protect the guys that we need to help us get it done in the future.
I agree with you 100%. And what you're saying, all of that, like, it really makes me question Getsy, right? Because I watch Dolphins games, I watch Rams games, I watch 49ers, I watch the Chiefs, the Bills, all these teams that have consistently good offenses, save the Rams injury depleted unit this year, but
right,
it doesn't take 3 to 5 seconds for receivers to get open. The route combinations that we're using, like, I'm not sure what's going on, but we're not even scheming guys open.
Yeah.
So whereas, you've got the combos of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle where they're running pick plays, and then the faster, like, Tyreek Hill will pop out, coming out from behind Jalen Waddle, and it's 1 second and he's open, and you could throw with anticipation because that the cornerback is picked and he's got a free run to the sideline. Why don't we have Claypool and Mooney do that? Why does it take so long to get Claypool integrated into this offense? Why can't we just have a package of plays that he can be, a target on at least 5 times a game?
Right.
How long does that take to install? I could do that in a week. I'm not a freaking NFL coach, but I can for sure do that.
Look, you should be.
I shouldn't, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that there's this much consternation about something that should be really simple. And what it looks like to me is either sandbagging, where we don't want to unleash the full offensive potential that our offense has, because or it's incompetence. You know what I mean? And in either case, it really, as a fan, it's disconcerting to watch.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to go out there and see your guys just not being utilized correctly. Like, it was the same thing with Fields. Like, he was absolutely struggling in Nagy's offense. But if you go back and watch tape from last year, he wasn't holding the ball for 4 seconds because guys were open. And this was like a pretty poor receiving core last year too. Like, it wasn't great. Like, it was Mooney and Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has been underperforming since.
I was about to say, we didn't even see Allen Robinson much last year.
No, yeah, and he's underperforming now with the Los Angeles Rams. Cooper Kupp is injured, and Robinson had 4 catches. So, like, what's going on with him? I don't know. Maybe he never really got back from that groin injury or whatever that he had in 2020. But something's going on with him where, like, he really wasn't himself with Justin Fields last year, and that receiving core wasn't that strong. And it was much maligned, actually. But man, Fields was throwing the thing. He was ripping it. So he wasn't obviously the most efficient passer as a rookie, but nobody expects him to be. So who cares? But he was getting the ball out. He was reading. He had anticipation. He was going through his progressions. Check downs, curl routes, corners. He was letting it fly. So why is it that now he's so cautious to throw? Why is it that now there's no route concepts that have guys with any kind of separation when we have the best running game in the country?
Right.
What is going on? And
I can't explain
that. Falls back on Getsy to me.
Yeah, and I think you made a point to say incompetence, or maybe we're just not. That's exactly what I thought. Maybe we're just not trying to unleash the monster. We're not trying to show everything, which I don't think it matters. I feel like when you have talent, it doesn't matter. You can go out here and do it, and we'll do it again. You know what I'm saying? You have to stop it, and I think that's how it goes. So I'm more so, I don't know. As far as the passing goes, I agree. I don't understand why these guys can't get some routes where these guys are open. I've been wondering the same thing. All I know is that when I have the quarterback's angle, when they do the replay and we're standing behind the quarterback and we can see downfield, those guys are not at the top of their routes before Justin has to tuck his head and run, you know what I'm saying? And then by the time they get to the top of those routes, he's scrambling for his life. So I don't know, is it like, and again, that to me, that goes back to the incompetent part of it. It's like, if your guys only can block for 2 seconds, you can't run a route that's going to take you 7 seconds to get, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
And it doesn't seem like we use like a Mooney who's got some speed. Let's use these guys in that way where we get them open quick, get them the ball. They'll do it every now and then. You get what I'm saying? Where they're like, oh, Claypool, dump off the ball to him. But we see those so sporadically, and it's almost like they do that to say, oh yeah, Claypool's on the team. There he goes. You know, but it's not like we don't use it situationally to say, let's move the ball this way. Let's, let's make some plays where we get the ball into the hands of a playmaker, just like Justin Fields. And now let's make them stop us. Let's make them get us. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I agree with you. I'm hoping that part of it is just like not wanting to show everything. But then a part of it, I think, is just really, we have a substandard offensive line. And even though they look good at sometimes, they just ain't got it. They just ain't got it. And when Justin goes back to pass, man, he doesn't have much time. If the receivers want to get any substantial amount of yards, it's like, you can't. It's almost like do a screen and run for it, because you're not going to have time to, get down the field. So
but
I'm hoping we can correct that in the offseason. I'm hoping that's personnel.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is also we're not doing the things that set those routes up. We're not doing the things that cause defenses to back off to the point, because we got guys with mad speed. We got a running game that pulls defenders into the box. I can't tell you how many 8-man fronts I saw against Justin Fields against the Falcons. So when guys are in the box that heavy, throw it over the top a bunch. Throw a post route. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody there. Throw a post route. Throw a 8-yard post. There's no one to stop it. Throw a slant. You know what I mean? But if we're not ever trying that, then they're never gonna put the cornerbacks in a position where those short routes are viable and open. You know what I mean? The short 5-yard ends, the drag routes, all of that stuff should be wide open. Wide open, because even if you're a linebacker spying the quarterback, you're not following the receiver, the slot receiver, when he goes past you. So if you've got Mooney running 4-3 across the field, that linebacker's standing still watching Fields. So you throw that, and Mooney's gone. There's nobody to stop him. There's nobody there, because they're all spying Fields. So why don't we have those routes? Mooney should have 10 catches a game. Why doesn't he? It's just bad scheme in the passing game. And people are like, oh, Getsy might get head coaching consideration after this season. We might not keep him. If I'm looking for a top offensive coordinator, I'm not looking at Getsy right now, because you see a quarterback in Fields whose passing numbers have regressed heavily in terms of volume from last year. And like I said, I don't need him to show volume, but I would like the scheme to show that volume is possible in the future. You know what I mean? And that's what we don't see.
You're right. Yeah, man, it's sad times, man, to be a Chicago Bears fan, man.
A lot of L's, man. A lot of L's.
I'm excited about the money and the opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, this offseason is something that everybody is kind of looking forward to. It's definitely going to determine what this franchise does going forward. Poles has a lot of hard decisions he's going to have to make in terms of how he spends all this money, in terms of who he's drafting to put around Fields. Obviously, the need for linemen is enormous, but just last year we saw him draft defense with his top picks. And if he gets really high, if he gets the number 3 overall pick and then picks an edge rusher,
I was about to say it might be defense again.
Man, I might not be on board with that. So I mean, we'll see what's going on, but man, it's definitely making this offseason a lot more apprehensive than it was going into it.
Yeah, I get it. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I feel like our defense definitely needs to be shored up. I won't say that I wouldn't be on board It just depends on how it works out, man. I know there's some talent coming out in this draft, so depending on where we end up, I think you just got to be smart. Some of the moves they made recently, I support. So as far as the draft goes, so hopefully they can recapture some of that moving forward, and hopefully it all works out for us. Because at the end of the day, we just got to put the right people around Fields, and he's shown his ability to somewhat do that with some of the youth and the talent he's brought in. I don't know, man. I don't want to be the first to start speculating or what I'm saying, taking my faith away, I guess. But they need to do something, because you're right. He's regressed. Fields has regressed, and I don't want my quarterback to be a running back. I want my quarterback to be a quarterback who happens to dust guys when they play him the wrong way. You get what I'm saying? So that's the way that's supposed to look. So we see flashes of it. Like I said, the pass to Komet, the pass to Montgomery down the field, scrambling for 12 seconds and finding an EQ on that play. Those are good signs. I just don't want to see the guy get killed, man. I want to see us be able to make it to where we have the guys we feel are competitive, where we can go out there and compete to actually win the whole thing, and then let's go. You get what I'm saying? But in the meantime, we should be smart, we should be creative, and we should be trying things. I think honestly, I wouldn't mind them just sitting back and letting Fields throw the ball a lot. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what Claypool looks like. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what him and Fields look like. I don't know, use these guys. The guys that you brought in here, the guys that aren't going to be here, see who's going to be staying, who's going to be leaving, and let's use them. I mean, especially when right now we're pretty much, I mean, you never know what to expect from us. We lose every week, but we do amazing things. So it's like, I say use your guys and see what you really have there, and let's be able to make those informed decisions in the offseason. But right now, man, this last game just made me feel like do not get Justin Fields killed, man.
Yeah, his health has to be the top priority for this franchise. If his health is not the top priority for your offensive play caller, if you're calling run plays for the last drive of the game when he's already shown he's hurt, and he's not at 100%, you're just trying to get him more hurt. And that's exactly what he did. He got dropped on his shoulder. He got thrown out of bounds while running at the sideline. No flag called, of course. Like, at what point as the offensive coordinator do you look and say, okay, I'm going to have to go with the backup quarterback next week if I keep calling run plays? Why isn't he on a pitch count, man? Like, the MLB runs pitch counts for every single pitcher in every single team. Why isn't Justin Fields' legs on a pitch count? That man should not run more than 12 times a game, ever, unless you're.
And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why he's running more than our running backs.
Right,
I don't get that.
Right, like if I'm Demo, I feel disrespected actually, because it's like, what are we doing here? I'm the guy. I'm the running back. Yeah, and Demo's running pretty well. He was running pretty well. So his health has to become a better priority or bigger priority for Getsy, for Eberflus, or frankly, Getsy's got to go. That's really what it comes down to. As good as Getsy's been with the run game, and I told you guys when we were leading into this season, like he's great with the run game. He showed that in college. He was Green Bay's passing coordinator, their wide receivers coach. But when he was an offense coordinator in college, man, they ran a lot, which I'm fine with. I love that. I love the commitment to the run. I do not love the commitment to Fields being the leading rusher of the team every week. That should not be how it happens. If he
let's be real,
runoff, great, he could be the leading rusher, but that should be the only scenario that he is.
Right. And let's be real, man. This is a team game, and even though it's nice to see Justin Fields make magic, let these other guys produce and do their job. You know what I mean? We got to call on them too to make plays, because they all get paid to be professional athletes and to play this game. So we can't just lean on Fields in that way, because that's what's going to get him hurt. It's like, no, he's one out of 11 guys on the offense, and we need to use the other guys as well, and needs to put some pressure on them to step up and do their jobs. It's not all about Justin Fields, it's about a team, and we need to start to use the team in that way. Sometimes you have a far superior player, i.e. Michael Jordan, but sometimes you got to pass the ball to Steve Kerr, and he has to make his shots. It's just what it is, and I feel like that's where we're at right now. I think Justin Fields has electrified the league so much in the past few weeks. It's like, man, they're abusing him, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's time to scale it back and start calling on some of these other guys to step up and earn their spots.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. 100%, 100%. Because at the end of the day, you've gotta determine whether you're giving Mooney a big contract at the end of this year. You've got to determine whether we're re-signing Claypool at the end of next year. You got to determine whether we're keeping Montgomery. You got to determine whether Khalil Herbert is potentially the running back of the future. I heard a report just today that said Saquon Barkley wants to join the Bears this offseason.
I've been hearing talks about that. I didn't hear that.
Oh man, I
But
love
man,
that. Cause man,
imagine
like,
that. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Who wouldn't want to play with Justin Fields, seeing some of the things he's been doing, man? In the past, I feel like it's been an organization thing where players might not have wanted to come here. They probably like the guys on the team, you know what I mean? But they probably don't like the organization. Now, if the organization can do right by some of these guys, man, I feel like Fields, a young superstar quarterback, of course he's gonna have people want to come here and play with him. Of course.
yeah, and Barkley, I mean, I could see the reasoning because we run the ball a ton. We're always putting the ball in the running back's hands. We don't have a lot of other weapons when it comes to, taking looks away from him. And teams are going to be so focused on Fields in the backfield, it's going to give Barkley a ton of room to work.
Yeah.
And with a run blocking offensive line like we have, I mean, yeah, that's an attractive proposition for a running back. Like you were saying last week, though, a wide receiver, maybe not so much,
Right.
unless we could see Getsy start doing something with this pass game. But
Yeah.
I mean, we tend to see good concepts in like the red zone. We tend to see like the rub route that Mooney did to get wide open. But man, like, why don't we see anything like that in the between the 20s? What is going on with that? So,
Right.
I mean, we just got to see how it shakes out for the rest of this year. We got what, 7 games left, 6 games left.
6 games left. Yep.
So
We got a bye week 14. So no, you're right. 6 games.
6
Yeah,
games,
6
7
games,
weeks.
but the bye is week 14. Yeah. Man, we got a late bye. Is it just me, or is that a late bye?
We got one of the latest buys in the league. I think 13 used to be the latest week that you could get a buy, and then this week is 14. So, I mean, that's good because we kind of had the mini buy between Thursday night and the Monday night game.
Yeah.
And that kind of got us a little bit healthier. But man, the O-line still banged up. Larry Borum still hasn't returned. Riley Reef looked way more human today than he has the last couple of weeks. He was getting torn up. I mean, do we think Larry Borum or Riley Reef is the future going forward, or do we need to like replace them? Like that's one thing that I'm really concerned with. And then left guard Cody Whitehair, same. He's never been a great pass blocker. He's always been serviceable in that department, but he's been consistent. So is he a guy that, with a $14 million cap hit, do you let him go and try to replace him with a younger talent? There's a lot to consider along that O-line, but just a lot of holes on it.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't know who it is, but it definitely we definitely need some changes there. And I mean, this personnel, I feel like those guys sometimes might gel. Sometimes you play better with a group, with a particular group. You get what I'm saying? So I don't know who needs to stay, if anybody, or who needs to go. But I do know we need to get it together on the O-line side. So hopefully they figure that out and figure out which guys gel the best together. But look, we have nothing but time and opportunity in front of us. We got picks coming up. We got money to spend. So hopefully they're getting their ducks in a row so that we can make a splash in that way.
I think
man, it's tough watching us lose every week. The closest games by 1, by 3, by 4. It's like Jesus Christ.
Every week.
We lose in stellar fashion. It's like for someone to be able to, for real, because you know how sometimes Chicago fans can get disgruntled. So to hear people always saying, "Oh, the Bears, they're losing, they lose," and it's like, man, but we could have won all of the games though. Like, it's not. You get what I'm saying? So it's tough, man. It's really tough because we're not getting beat like that. We're really beating ourselves in a lot of ways and just not, just not executing. To get the win. So we're coming up just a play short, a yard or two short, a point or two short. And to me, that's like the gift and the curse. It's like we're right there with these teams that we're going to go up against. We're competitive. And we already know we have a lot of issues. You get what I'm saying? We have a lot of holes. Our defense is a big hole on, we have holes all over the defense. We got holes on the offensive line. So with us knowing that and to be able to compete, that's kind of where I find the comfort of knowing like, all right, we're not we're knocking on the door. You get what I'm saying, to where we should be. I'm just hoping we can get it together, man, because I don't want any more setbacks. We don't want to have another time where we watch Justin Fields and the offense tear it up with a defense they can't do anything, and then by the time you get a defense together, Fields is old and crippled. You know what I'm saying? That's old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just hoping that this is the year they're able to sit back, keep Justin healthy, do the right things by him, and just put the team together that we need to have out there to win.
Yeah, no, I yeah, with you 100% on that. And I'll tell you this, there's there's a few people that I know for sure need to go on that offensive line.
Look, I wasn't gonna say any names, but I
names. I don't care. Sam Musford's gotta go.
absolutely.
That guy can't be a starter
Yeah.
next year. If he is, then we failed spectacularly.
Yeah.
Just off of that. And then the defensive line as well, man. I can't tell you how good it was to see Travis Gibson come back in the game, because man, they put Al-Qadim Muhammad back out there and I got nervous real fast. So
For real. Yeah.
there's a couple of spots that need desperate upgrades. Edge rusher is probably near the top of the list.
Yeah.
Really the whole D-line. The whole D-line's at the top of the list.
Yeah. Man, we got no sacks this last game.
Yeah.
No
No, I mean, that's unsurprising.
We don't pressure the quarterback much at all. And it's like, not that we were getting great pressure before, but now it's like non-existent. It's like non-existent.
Yeah. I mean, and we're not even facing great offensive lines. This is the Falcons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The Lions have a pretty decent line, but the Falcons, no. No, this is a terrible offensive line. They picked up Lachavious Simmons off of us. You remember that guy?
Off of us.
Lachavious Simmons last year, whatever, he stepped in for like one game and gave up like immediately like 2 sacks and got benched by the first quarter. Like they got that guy.
Man, did we wait a minute? In this game, if I'm not mistaken, we gave up 3 sacks on one drive. 2 or 3 on one drive.
Yeah. No, we're so bad. And
man, that's beyond bad.
So bad.
I feel bad for Fields sometimes when he snaps the ball and it's like there's a guy tackling him already.
It's wild. We blow more blocks than any team. I think 3 or 4 of our starting 5 linemen are in the top 10 of the league. All it just missed blocks, just guys that just run free because the lineman just did not block them. There was a play where Schofield, or was it Whitehair? It was one of the guards. I think it was Whitehair actually, because it came from the left side. He starts blocking the defensive tackle, right? Defensive tackle, like big 300-pound guy, starts blocking him. Let's go. Looks off over there.
I definitely, yeah.
Tackle goes running past and just obliterates Fields. What are you doing? You can't start blocking a guy and then go run out. Did you think it was a screenplay? Like, did you just not know the play call? Like, what is wrong with you that you would allow that to happen? Of those
plays, I would think Justin Fields was in there eating their lunch or messing with their moms or something, because man, this reminds me sometimes of the, oh, where's your invisible juice, Willie Beeman? Like, they're just gonna let him tackle our quarterback, man. Like, they just mad at him and he's just not gonna protect him today. It's like, man, he must have been talking trash to them guys, man.
Man, I'm telling you, because it's crazy how many times we see that, you know, just guys just totally not execute their assignment or just are unable to. And guys just go blowing by them, like low effort type plays, man. Like it's really concerning, man. Cause man, what was that video? The video we posted earlier on Instagram where it was the Tropic Thunder dude looking at Justin Fields, survive. Like that's how I feel with Justin Fields right now. I've been feeling like that all year long. So I just hope that man makes it through without any serious harm.
Me too. But hey, we got some game. Who we got coming up this week?
I actually gotta check. I think it's the Jets coming into town next.
If I'm gonna make a guess, you know, I always say we're gonna get a W, but let me definitely tell you, it's gonna be a close game. I mean, that's one thing I know I might be right about, because they've all been close.
We definitely have a chance against their offense. Zach Wilson is not the dude, you know what I mean? But man, like their defense is so good. So I'm really apprehensive going into that game with no Khalil Herbert, with Justin Fields being on the mend. Like, that really leaves us in a bad spot to go against one of the top defenses in the NFL. Like, their pressure rate is insane. Their front seven is devastatingly good. their corner, Sauce Gardner, the rookie, that dude is a lockdown corner, man. How did they get Darrell Revis and then Sauce Gardner? Like, that's wild. So, man, like he could take either Mooney or Claypool away. Whoever's over there, they don't exist. You know what I mean? So, I hope Claypool can finally play the whole game, but I keep seeing like Equinemius St. Brown and Dante Pettis on reps that I would assume that Claypool would be in for. You know what I mean? Like,
And then Pringle sometimes
Pringle.
it's like, man, get him out there.
Yeah. So I mean, like it's really concerning going into that game, seeing Justin Fields already this beat up, and I kind of just want him to not play. I kind of want them to and play Trevor Siemian,
right?
And just like,
because look, we know Trevor
Siemian
Siemian is going to throw the football.
Right.
He's going to throw the football.
Right. Put him out there as the punching bag. And honestly, that would be a really good test of Getsy. And to see how much of it is Getsy not calling pass plays, and how much of it is Fields not executing or not being able to execute them to the level that Getsy wants. Put Siemian in there and see how the backup does. And if the backup does better than Fields in the passing department, but is just overall worse as an offensive player, cool. Then we'll just ride with it. We'll just chalk that up to bad personnel, let Fields grow a little more and keep going. Because Siemian's been in the league 6-7 years, something like that. But if we put Siemian in and he can't throw either, then you start got to look at your offensive coordinator like, okay, you came from Green Bay. What is going on? You know what I mean? You got to be better than this. So I really want them to play him and let that be his game to get just absolutely wailed on, because I really don't want to see Fields getting beat up in defense.
No, I don't either. I actually wouldn't be mad at that because it sounds like he's going to be running again.
Yeah, and he's got that shoulder injury. So this is non-throwing shoulder, thankfully, but that still affects you. You know what I mean? On that jump pass, that sailed on him. If he can pull down and keep his shoulders level and square, even with, even jumping, you can get that pass lower to Montgomery or further left to Mooney, wherever he was trying to throw it.
Yeah.
But that injury is going to affect him throwing. It's going to affect him running, and it'll only get worse if he goes against his defense. So,
yeah, you're right. Well, we're going to see, man. We got the Jets. Hopefully we can take them. Man, it seems like it's been a long year.
It has. My God, 17 games of this. Ooh, Lord.
We had 11 and we only got 3 wins. The crazy thing is we got 3 wins, and I feel like I've watched the games, and I feel like at least 6 or 7 that we could have as wins. It's like, man.
It just feels like every time we start to get some good momentum going, we kind of throw a little bit, like just not trying to win. Like, we started to get some really good momentum. Justin Fields started turning the corner, trade away Roquan and Robert Quinn.
Yeah, that's enough, right? No, I get it.
Then we can't stop anybody on defense, but we're scoring 30 points a game. So now just call the shitty plays in the fourth quarter.
This is what they used to do in Little League Baseball when you couldn't get anybody out, and they say, all right, the 9th batter is the last batter. That's it, guys.
Yeah, we're just not gonna try.
It's like, all right, that was good enough. Let's stop right there. You don't want to do too much.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's a good sign for us in the future, man. But right now, this is tough. This is rough. I'm gonna predict a W for us going forward because we need something. We need some positivity. So we're gonna get it here when we're talking Bears. I'm predicting W's each week because those are our W's. Like, we don't get them all the time in the game, but we get them here.
I love it. I love to hear it. I'm predicting we'll have the 3rd overall pick. That's my prediction for the win-loss ratio.
There you go. Look, one of us will be right.
It's either or.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, that's what it is. So I'm Son.
I'm Nephew.
And we're talking Bears.
Bears.
All right.
Let's do it.